folks, gather round for this very exciting occasion. So for those of you who don't know, my name is David Mitchell. I'm the mayor of the town of Bridgewater, and I am super excited to be here. I know this has been a long time coming. We wanted to do this many years ago. There's some complications. You can all call the province and your MLA and get them to update the traffic standards. That makes it so these aren't illegal. But, you know, between Steve and our staff, we found a solution on, you know, a very busy intersection, very highly prominent, which is what we want to. But I just want to convey that this is more than just, you know, painting some colors on the road. You all know that. It's the town's way of publicly demonstrating to everyone that this is a safe, respectful, inclusive community where everyone deserves to be treated with love. And I know for many of you it doesn't feel like that. So I fielded a few calls. Why are you doing this? Why are you spending the money? Well, because some people don't have the luxury of just walking around being exactly who they want to be, a full, true expression of themselves without someone judging, hurting them. We don't have to go down all, you know. So this is just a small thing that the town can do to express that this is everyone's community, regardless of who you are, how you identify, whatever it is. This is your community. And so we are privileged to be able to do this. So I do want to thank Lunenburg Pride and our staff team for working together, and I look forward to the parade that's coming next month, our first Pride Parade. Town Council will be there with all of you, and so, you know, better things are ahead. And I'll turn it over to you.
Jeez, now I gotta try not to cry. Thank you. No, I mean, like you said, this is it's a small gesture in the grand scheme of things, but it really means a lot more than just paint on a road. I know people here are part of the LGBTQ plus community. There are allies here, and the climate that we're currently living in, where there is a lot of vitriol and attacks on LGBTQ folks, especially trans people and drag queens, you know, especially when we have the events in Bridgewater next month, this will show to them that it's more than just paint. You know, this is a town that is welcome and inclusive to anyone, no matter the minority that comes out and tries to speak out against us, because, you know, we're not going anywhere. And it truly means a lot to me that we've worked through all the ups and downs with the rules and found a way to make it work, because it's so important that we have a crosswalk in Bridgewater, especially now that Bridgewater is growing and it's going to grow in the coming years. So I just want to thank everyone who came out, and this is wonderful that it happens to be in place before Pride Week next month. So I hope that anytime you're around here, whether it's during Pride Week or not, that you'll remember this very important day, and, you know, we will just keep staying positive despite all the reasons we have not to be. So thanks, everybody.
I'm Amanda Fancy. I'm the dealer-owner of Gals Home Hardware and Furniture. We've been at this location for about a year. We started in 1848, way back when, This is our 5th location, so we've never have left the town limits. So we're looking to build this location. We had lots of opportunity to potentially look at outside of the town limits, but it was really key for us to be and continue to be a growing business in Bridgewater. Bridgewater, Nova Scotia is unique. We have a beautiful countryside. Our town is 7,500 people, but then, our customer reach is about 45,000. So, we're talking about lots of small communities, hidden treasures. There's huge opportunity here, and I think that it's certainly worthwhile to make the visit, make the call, do some inquiring, because it certainly is somewhere where I think there would be some strong investment opportunities for sure.
My name is Joey Richard. I come from Quebec, Montreal. I've studied opera at the Montreal Conservatoire of Music, so this is where I've learned about Italian, the language, and the food. And my passion just became bigger and bigger for food. I've been cooking for 20 years, almost. I opened a family business, but the only thing I forgot is that my family is still in Montreal, so I'm like, I'm trying. I make new friends. I'm building this thing, but it is a family business here. My chef is like my brother. His wife is like my sister. So I recreated a family environment. We do the real recipes, starting from the real ingredients, and for Italian food, what the secret is. Few ingredients and very fresh. So each recipe would be like 3-4 ingredients maximum. But it's just the best ingredients and makes it so delicious. If you think that it's impossible to have your own business, I'm the living proof that it is possible. People want us to thrive. We work together. So everybody helps each other. If you want to be part of a community, it is the community to be part of.
My name is Joel Holland. I'm the owner and operator of Manitou Athletics. I found the opportunity, started this gym in my parents' garage, and now we are currently in an 8,600 square foot facility. A lot of people come here because of the community. The things that we offer here are different than a normal gym. It's an open atmosphere where you come.
Good evening, everyone. I'll call this special council meeting, Bridgewater Town Council to order. And as always, the town of Bridgewater is located in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people, and we are privileged to be here. I'll just start by expressing our condolences to the family and friends and the loved ones of the people that were lost in the accident over the weekend on the 103 just outside of Bridgewater. And I've talked to a couple of people today who really said, like, don't forget to think about the first responders that went to that scene and not only deal with the accident, but have to also talk to the family members and explain everything and kind of go through that. So think of them as well. So one of the amazing things about this community is when tragedy strikes, the community comes together, and so I know those friends and family will be good people helping. We have a few items on the agenda, just 4 items. 2 of them should be pretty quick. They're just noticed for the upcoming meeting. So can I have a motion to approve the agenda as circulated? Deputy Mayor Fagier, seconded by Councillor Colwell. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Do we have any announcements from anyone?
June. Okay. And so we'll jump right down to reports and recommendations. So 9.1, notice, giving notice for revisions to personnel policies and procedures. I'll turn it over to the CAO.
Okay, so this is, as Mayor Mitchell indicated, it's notice. And so the notice is that at the June 26th council meeting, council will consider and if deemed advisable approve amendments to the personnel policy. That would see a change to the vacation allotment for employees in years 1 to 3 to increase from 12 to 15 days. Meeting pay would be, is proposed to be removed and then replaced with compensation at overtime, with directors having only receiving time for time, with a maximum of 35 hours in a bank at any one time. And then service awards, which have the amount that we provide to staff in recognition of continuous employment, as well as service awards upon the retirement of a staff member. So those were also reviewed, and there's a recommendation that those amounts be increased, since it's been several years since that's been looked at. And in doing so, we would do some housekeeping as well to repeal policy 11, which is service awards. Since it's already in the personnel policy, we don't need to duplicate it with a second policy. So again, it's notice, and at the June 26th council meeting, staff will present the amendments in greater detail, and council can debate and then make a decision respecting the same.
Any questions on that? Okay. Do I have a motion to, thank you, Councillor Conklin?
I move that Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater give notice pursuant to Section 48 of the NGA that at the June 26, 2023 council meeting, council will consider for approval amendments to the personnel policy respecting vacation allotment, meeting pay, and service awards, and the repeal of Policy 11, service awards housekeeping.
Thank you. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Fragier. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. And 9.2, notice for revisions to policy 89.
Okay, so this is to, again, give notice that at the June 26th meeting, council will be presented with amendments to the fees policy, which would look at changes to the pool fees for use of the town's outdoor pool. And these are as recommended by the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Advisory Committee. And the primary change is to the group rates and rentals, which is seeing an increase of rate fees, one from large groups from $52 to $60, and private pool rentals from $80 to $100.
Any questions on that? Someone like to make that motion? Councillor Thorburn?
I move that council for the town of Bridgewater give notice pursuant to Section 48 of the Municipal Government Act that at the June 26, 2023 council meeting, amendments to policy 89 fees be considered for approval with respect to proposed fees for the O'Regan Subaru outdoor pool.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Caldwell. All those in favor? Perfect. Motion is carried. And just a reminder to the public who thought, might be thinking they went really quickly through those. Again, it's just notice. These will, it's basically advertising that we're going to discuss this at the next council meeting, which is in 1 week. Down to business arising and unfinished business, agreement of purchase and sale for surplus portion of Logan Road.
Okay. So at the March 27th, 2023 council meeting, council considered a request to deem a portion of Logan Road surplus and therefore dispose of that through sale to Michelin. Council passed a motion that they approve the requested two-phased partial closure of Logan Road, so phase 1 and phase 2, in accordance with policy 112. And that would be as presented in Appendix A. There was a document attached to that agenda, including clarity that the actual street closure pursuant to policy 112 be effective upon completion of the agreement of purchase and sale between the town of Bridgewater and Michelin North America Canada. One for each phase, with all the conditions, including the engineering and subdivision bylaw conditions of the agreement of purchase and sale having been met, and the lands conveyed to Michelin North America. So council was presented with an agreement of purchase and sale in camera, and the contents of that agreement will remain in camera until signed by both parties, which is normal course, because until the other party signs, it's still part of negotiations. But for council's purposes, the agreement of purchase and sale outline conditions that council asks be met prior to conveyance. So the agreement has those conditions in there, which is primarily that when the road is closed and the lands are consolidated, that all lots created meet the subdivision bylaw, meaning that if there are lots remaining, that they have 20 feet of frontage on a public street, so that we don't create any landlocked parcels, and that any rerouting of town sewer or water meet our specifications, so the designs have to be submitted, and they have to meet our specifications, that there is temporary turning areas, because it is a partial closure, so that means that there's going to be parts of Logan Road just off St. Philip's that will remain public for a bit, and then coming in from King Street side of Logan Road, there'll be a dead end at some point, and that needs a temporary turning area as well. So ensure that those are designed to meet our standards and constructed, and that recognizing that the land would be conveyed prior to any of this work being undertaken, that there's a bond or a surety that would ensure council that if the work's not done, we can use that bond and complete the work ourselves. So that's has to be satisfied, and that there's a traffic plan for how access is going to be controlled in and out of the new driveway to Michelin, essentially. So the agreement of purchase and sale contains those conditions. It's been reviewed by legal counsel by both parties, and it also contains the purchase price, which is noted in the motion, which I believe is
$41,730.
plus HST if applicable. So if council's in agreement, that motion to authorize the execution of the agreement of purchase and sale for Phase 1 of the Logan Road closure to Michelin North America for the purchase price, as noted in the motion, would be in order.
Any questions or comments on that? Pretty straightforward. We knew this was coming. There's no turning this ship around now. Work is well underway, so that's good. Is someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Colwell.
I move the town council for the town of Bridgewater authorize the execution of the purchase and sale agreement with Michelin for the sale of surplus portion of Logan Road Phase 1 for the sale price of $41,730 plus HST if applicable.
Seconded by Mayor Frazier. Further discussion? Question being called. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. And quickly down to our last item. Again, this is a special council meeting, so I don't, people are probably like, wow, you met for that? Yes, we had another topic that didn't appear, so that's why and some of these are time sensitive.
Yes.
So the last one is Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities Policing Survey. The draft is there. Chief Feeder has already provided extensive comments.
Yeah.
So you're looking for just additional comments, or?
Yeah, it's due tomorrow, so which is, I guess, timely that it's on the agenda tonight. And as indicated, the police chief and the board chair have provided some of the input. The rest, I filled in blanks, having listened to some of the conversations council's had over the last several years with respects to police servicing. And they're looking for one submission per municipal unit, so it was felt that it should come from council, and therefore it's on the agenda tonight to have considered. Some of them it's very factual, like what's your budget, the budget and that type of thing is pretty much what it is. And they did ask some questions with respects to what are some of the cost drivers, and which are evident by looking at the budget, but as noted, that's question 4. The cost drivers that I noted there are salaries. That's what we do, right? So a big portion of police service budget is salaries. The building and overhead cost is our next, and equipment, upgrading of equipment, technology such as radio communications and forensic equipment, and then vehicles. So it's mainly our overhead that goes along with providing police services, and that's the cost driver for us. And then our concerns that we have, recruitment and retention of constables. seems to be a challenge everywhere, but it is a concern to ensure that we maintain an active police services with full complement. And I think that you find, as I said, that that's probably a concern with all police services across Nova Scotia. There were no concerns with respect to the board, so they asked a bit about how do we feel board governance is working. Again, communications with the board and with the police chief, and does council have any concerns there? And the responses to all those note that when we ask for information, we get it. Communications is good, and the board's functioning is good as well. And the relationship between the chief and the board is good. So there were no concerns related to that there. And one thing I did note, so you might want to note this, is they asked that, do you have any concerns, what other governance related concerns does your municipality have? So I did note that there's always difficulty in getting the provincial appointment to the board completed.
Yeah.
So we have members from the community, but we also have an appointee by the Department of Justice, and that's always behind. And that's on police advisory boards as well as police commissions. So it's just to bring that to their attention. I'm sure they're aware of it already. And also that the Department of Justice did some training this year for the police commission on board roles and responsibilities. And that's something that should continue. I have not a one and done, but not just a one-time thing, but it should be a continual thing that's done with boards, so that boards are aware that they're responsible for developing strategic plans and implementing those, and what the board's role is versus council's role and the chief's role. So it was well received by the board, and it's just suggested that they provide training regularly to boards on their roles and responsibilities, and also on federal and provincial policing responsibilities and priorities and best practices as well. So a little bit more engagement between the province and boards with respects to that. There were no service level concerns, and we just noted kind of what types of units we've used in the last bit of time in terms of support. And then I think the last question was around, which you might want to also be aware of, is to do with any other comments, I believe it was, and what we may want to offer there. And there we had, it was number 28 called optional. And the comment I put in there is that, and you've heard this before, that the town of Bridgewater is the largest service center on the South Shore, and the current population is approximately 9,000, or a little over, well, it's over 9,000. However, being a service center, it's policing 35,000 to 40,000 on a daily basis. Its support for the service by town council and police commission has made BPS a professional and adequate service for policing its population and keeping it safe. But then it leads into number 29, which is there anything else? And that's how municipal police forces are funded should be considered. The town pays for 100% of its police cost outside of the additional officers program, which are provided to all municipal units. The town provides police services to a regional population count as it's a regional service center. As noted earlier, the population grows from 9,000 to 35,000 to 40,000 during the day and on the weekends. Town residents bear the burden of this, and at the same time contribute through their income tax to provincial policing, the provincial policing contract, RCMP, as provincial dollars on average fund 30% of policing costs for those under the RCMP contract in Nova Scotia, and this creates an inequity in police funding. So just an opportunity to say it again, even though it's been said many times.
Yeah. Well, that last question is key, right? So this has been my pain point with this for years. I'm glad the NSFM is doing this. I'm frustrated, I'm trying to pick my words wisely, that being done now. So there was a time, 8 years ago, where municipal policing costs were skyrocketing, and the RCMP were stabilized, and the NSFM wanted nothing to do with municipal policing. There was no support for us. There was no one going to advocate on our behalf to the province. And then now that the RCMP costs are skyrocketing, there's this sudden outrage that costs are going up. And I understand, because their costs are going up significantly. And I don't think the public is fully aware, and you did answer it in question 29, that RCMP costs are still subsidized between 20 and 30%. So RCMP municipalities aren't paying full price anyway, but it's being subsidized by us, by HRM and by CBRN and by Truro and Amherst and the communities that have across the country that have their own municipal police force. So it is a little frustrating for the town of Bridgewater, who, polices well, is the service center for a large regional area and gets no support until RCMP costs go up. And it's in this report. People should read this. Just talking about level of service. Do we have level of service concerns? No. Because we have a police board that holds the chief accountable to make sure that we have the right number of officers on the ground policing in a way that makes sense for our community. And yet not every community can answer that with that answer, right? We have communities that are missing most of their police officers in RCMP communities, and this isn't an officer on the ground issue. So I don't want people to think I'm talking about the men and women in the Cookville detachment who are doing their very best to kind of keep things together. It's higher ups that make these decisions, but it's nice to see this. But I am worried that this is going to be a RCMP policing document, which it should not be. The majority of this province is policed by municipal police forces. So the impact on policing is by the majority by municipal, not RCMP. So I've conveyed that to the president of the NSFM, that don't make this an RCMP policing document, right? We want what's fair for those communities, those especially rural communities that have RCMP, but don't leave us behind. So far so good, but I know the former chair of the police commission is right on this. So David Walker has been had a policing role through most of his municipal political career. He's well versed in this, so I hope he's giving input as well, because he has a lot of information over many years. Anyway, that's a long rant. But anyone else have anything to add?
I can add to your rant, because the other thing that bothered me when this first started, even you correct me if I'm wrong, that could be, we had 4 officers provided by the government. And we were given $100,000 back in the day. Well, that cost us well over $100,000 a few years ago when I was on the police commission, and the town is still getting $100,000, and the officers that were RCMP related were getting the actual cost, which was well above the $100,000. So to me, it's just a matter of, I hope that we get some fairness and the money goes where it should go, so that everybody's treated equal.
Yeah, no, you are 100% correct on that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's the same program,
Yeah.
but being funded two different
Different.
ways. And again, like the subsidizing of one,
Yeah.
but not the other, that's exactly what's happening.
Okay.
Anyone else have any comments, anything missing in this? Again, most of it's factual, but I love like 28 and 29 are very much in line with, it's not to take away from other communities. I want to make that clear before someone emails me saying, you want us to not pay our fair share? No, everyone should pay their fair share. We've been overdoing it for a long time based on these inequitable funding models. I wonder if they'll do the same survey for infrastructure. Just take this whole document, and 29 is essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
Question
Just
29.
Swap out the word.
Swap out policing, add in infrastructure, and you
Structure.
have the same thing. We are 9,000 people servicing 40,000 people, and we are not getting the same subsidized infrastructure that other communities are getting. Oh. Any other topics that this applies to? I think there's probably a couple more. Anyway, I could, you gotta laugh, because otherwise I'll cry. All right, so I guess that's good to go.
Yeah.
And we have nothing further on the agenda, so short and sweet. Just give me credit that it's 25 minutes. The next time a meeting goes 3 hours, you can just take, I don't know, like 35 minutes off the clock. Please. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Thorburn, seconded by Councillor Caldwell. We are adjourned.